Here.
Parker.
Here.
And we do have a quorum. So we'll go on to the next item. Approval of minutes of regular meeting held 14th of October 2024.
Motion to approve. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Parker.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes. We'll go on to the next item, reports from staff, city council report.
Looks like if you look at the financials, you can kind of see our cash is tracking pretty well. Our checking account has about $300,000 in it, and we're just under $200,000 in pool cash in the general fund. We have.
I'm sorry, Kelly. When I click on it, it gives me September's. Is that?
That does say September, doesn't it?
Make sure does.
Is it actually September or not?
This is September statement, yes. We need to look at October. I didn't catch it either.
Well, we'll skip that. I don't have a whole lot to report necessarily that's, city council. I will draw everybody, or invite everybody if you didn't see the postings, but the Alva Arena Authority will be having groundbreaking for the arena at 11:30 tomorrow out at the site. I guess it's at County Road 460 in Flynn.
Yep.
And so that's a really big deal for our community. We're excited to see the work on that that's been started and kind of have it, the gold shovels and hard hats and all of that out there to commemorate the moment tomorrow. I think if we're able to go, I talked to one of the board members, and they indicated that it shouldn't be a long ceremony. So if want to attend, your presence would be appreciated. A lot of stuff going on now. They're getting ready to start the Christmas Day stuff and festivities. Chamber's doing a lot of work. The city's been, busy working on a lot of projects. Kind of launching after some of the ODOT projects that are going on the highway out here, and then they wrapped up Locust Street, I think, since our last meeting. And the pool project continues to move along. Steve?
We're having a pre-construction meeting tomorrow for the new ground storage tank.
Okay.
So that's moving along. So once we get that finalized, we'll figure out how much money we got left over for in-town lines. And on those financials, because our agenda was so dang long the city council meeting, I didn't put on there to create I lost it, ICS account for airport checking.
Oh.
So I'm going to put it on Monday's meeting, get that approved, to get that money moved to start drawing some interest. And that's why it's still showing up on there.
So, I think, did we talk, I can't remember if we talked about that in here.
I did it 2 months ago, I think.
2 months ago? Okay. But yeah, the airport checking will probably transition that account to an interest-bearing account. It'll still be funds that are readily available for airport use, and then there'll also be funds that we could choose to put them in CDs if we didn't have a purpose form coming up, that sort of thing. So that will occur. And other than that, I'm happy to field any questions. We'll look at the October and November financials when we meet next month.
Okay, any questions? Go on to the next item, airport manager's report.
We had a decent month. We had about a week there where we didn't have internet in a weird series of events. AT&T cut our cold service before we got our fiber activated. But So, we might consider once the contract with AT&T is over, if there is one, I haven't heard back yet, to probably cancel that and just go with Starlink. The reliability of Starlink's 99.9%, so it's very rare that there's an outage. But it's actually faster than the fiber, so I wish I'd have known about that before all the fiber business, or it got recommended anyways, so. But anyway, with that being said, the fuel actually did pretty well. We were lucky enough to have our fuel truck filled up before we could use the pump. So I didn't really lack but like 3 days of putting a note out for no fuel, no 100 little lit. We had a total of $36,621.34. $17,026.09 of that is 100 blue lead. $19,250.75 is for Jet A. And oil was $284.50. Merchandise was $60. So, like I said, it's still a pretty good month. The financials will show quite a bit of fuel order because I ended up getting two. This has never happened really before. I've never once purchased avgas so close together. I was 2 in 1 month. I got down far enough to where I could fit another load in there before the prices went up. So we still have the cheaper fuel, so we'll still get a lot of business because we're at 4:30 and everybody else is normally like at 5 something. We're getting quite a bit of fuel stops. The maintenance-wise, we got a water line leak underneath the concrete ring by North Share on the west side, where Paul Kinsey's hangers are. It's coming up through the cracks. It's not huge right now, so tomorrow we're going to call Gary, the water department, and have them get things located so we can get that fixed before it becomes a huge problem.
Not like these out here, you got 30 of them out here in the front yard. They're leaks.
Yeah, I
Probably
probably,
another one over at State's Hanger.
yeah. I put in work orders that tell me I'm on with this, so I think this one under the concrete will be taken care of pretty quick because it caused a lot of issues. But I don't know. There's, of course, the water line and the gas line run parallel right down there, so hopefully they'll get that. Yeah, so we'll have to get it located out so we don't make a bigger mess than it already is. Other than that, getting a lot of jet traffic this week. The pilot for that citation out there, I told him that, we're in the process of getting ready to have that multi-purpose hangar built, and he's pretty excited about that because he says you'll be surprised how many people will stop here just because we have that hangar. And it came up because we were talking about the above ground fuel tank out there, so I think when we talk about the agenda item on the CIP, it'll be a good idea. It'd be a good deal for the airport to have that big hangar. So, if anybody has any questions, answer.
We'll go on to the next item, which would be item 5, discussion and action to approve 6-year capital improvement plan.
So with the CIP here, Toby wanted me to remind everybody that this can be altered at any time, but that this has been the hangar projects up on the list due to the funding availability that we have right now. It does push back the apron and runway projects that have been on there. But the funding for those will continue to be available, and it's with the hangar construction, though, that funding window is limited. So approving the CIP doesn't lock us in, like I said, but it does demonstrate when we include this with our funding requests that these are our priorities.
What happened to the taxiway lighting project?
That was
Are
on,
we,
that was on the last CIP, because
But it's not complete.
well, but we've already,
but it's not for fiscal year 25. This starts with fiscal year 25.
Yeah, but it's not complete. It's not going to be complete by then. So why is it not on the list?
You're asking me a question I don't know the answer to.
And the fencing project, we have to get the fencing project before they said they would fund anything else for us.
that should be included in this.
Is it rolled in?
It's rolled in with the
The hangar, I thought.
It just doesn't show it on here.
Toby gives us this, so.
Yeah.
The reason I've got it on here is the FAA is asking for it.
So nothing gets locked in, it's just, we're demonstrating that we have some form of plan that
Yeah.
we're
Yeah, well, and
We
referencing.
can change it next month if
Just-
you want to.
just referencing the September financials report, if we keep spending like we are, in a year's time, we're going to be out of cash. So I don't, without a current financial report, I can't even tell whether what kind of timeline we need to schedule that out. But I mean, the last financial report of September showed that we were spent 200,000 more than we brought in, and I know there's some capital outlays on there, but even if you take that off, in 6 quarters, and that financial report demonstrated a quarter of a year. If you take the capital outlay off, in a year and a half, we will have spent our $1 million we have in cash in the bank. So I mean, I don't know, financial-wise, whether we've got a plan to carry on beyond a year and a half financially or not. So,
Well, if you look at looking at the year-to-date, September 30th, we have incurred, capital outlay for which we're still waiting on the funds to come to us.
okay,
from
well,
grants.
yeah,
Because I don't
How much?
believe that we're, because on the revenue side,
but it's kind of hard to tell that, and I haven't
with
kept
grant-
up on it in depth enough to know whether the 324,000 or 320,000 in capital outlay can be.
So the 320, there's 325,000 out of our capital outlay infrastructure budget, which was 460,000, that has been spent year to date. But when you look at and a large amount of that is tied to our grant revenue, and out of 610, we've got 151. So when those two come closer into alignment, which they will, that $200,000 loss goes away. Because you look at the $151,000 of grant revenue through the end of September, compare that to the $324,000 of capital infrastructure outlay, and you're about $175,000 difference there. And so when we do get, if we spend the entire $727,000 capital outlay infrastructure and get the entire $610,000 grant proceeds, that all comes back kind of around. It just doesn't divide evenly throughout the year.
Correct. Yeah. It's kind of hard to tell without spending out the day and knowing all the details of what's out and what's coming in.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
And just by a cursory look at the September financials, it looks, makes you think it's kind of bleak as far as our financials are concerned.
Well, in September, we hadn't received, so in the intergovernmental category, that $151,000 grant proceeds, that's our year-to-date total and our September total. That all came in 1 month. And, you know, the remainder of that $460,000 that's left in that budget line, that's money that we know we're going to get those grants. We were approved for those grants before we put them in the budget. We know we're going to get them. And the same with the capital outlay infrastructure budget. I mean, those are hard numbers that we know we're going to get. So if we take those two items out of the equation, we're not as far apart. Our, you know, charges for services, we, you know, have budgeted, again, we're looking at September numbers, but charges for services, we have budgeted $468,000. You know, $115,000 is right on track to where we would need to finish the year on budget for our other charges for services.
Yeah, our revenues year to date are right on track with what we budgeted. Yeah.
So I feel like, and we did budget to spend $210,000 more than we bring in this year,
Right.
which was using some of our previous year's fund balance, or CDs, or, you know, however we wanted to do that, we have that option. And, you know, with CIP,
is the 2025 everything tied together?
Should
We're
be.
talking about the fence, the
I'm
hangar,
sure it's
remodel of
expensive.
this building. Is that all tied together, or it can be separated and do a certain phase of it and separate it out?
it depends on the grant. And I can't answer that, but I know that it's going to depend on what the grant says. I don't think there is specific money for fencing and parking lots. However, a hangar project, you can include that in.
Yeah, well,
That's my understanding.
we've got to do the parking lot before we can do the hangar, and we've got to do the parking lot before we do the fencing.
And I think, you know, I know it says hangar, but I'm pretty certain that all of this includes the terminal, the fence, and the parking lot.
When do we have to have this in?
They're asking for it now, I what I understand. We can change it next month.
Yeah, it's a document, it's a planning document. This is October 24th
Okay.
version.
Well, I'd like to see what all's in that, but.
We can go to Toby and find out.
Okay.
And Toby's he's not available
Well-
right now to talk, but
And Director Hardy's been emailing me about wanting to come back out and continue the discussions for
Right.
the parking lot, the fence,
Great.
and the terminal rehabilitation, or whatever you call it. So,
That'd be great. I'd love to.
and we're not, and these are all estimated costs, and we're not obligated to any of it until we get bids.
Right.
I'll try to see if we
But
can
I-
come out next month for the meeting.
That would be great. because I missed the last meeting, I was out of town.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I know that CIP is not in stone, but I like that they see things said and not changed a whole lot. You know, we develop a plan and we go to that plan, we don't change our mind every month to something different.
Well, and the plans aren't even developed yet for the hangar or the terminal or the fence these are all placed under numbers based on funding availability.
This is just something that has to be presented in order to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, they want to know what our intentions are.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll make a motion, to approve the 6-year capital improvement plan.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Klein,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Logsdon,
Yes. We'll go on to the next item, remarks and inquiries by airport commission members. I think the lights out, not working on top of the water tower again.
It's over here.
Yeah.
We got a guy for that.
Okay.
Which is weird, it shouldn't be going out for LEDs.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
LEDs is not as good as the advertising.
No, they're not. It should be less than a year.
Yeah. There's a spot in front of the round top. The survival pipe guys, when we asked about when they roll the helicopter in and out, the concrete is all broken up and sunken in, and it really rocks that cart when they're rolling it in and out. It's not going to be very long until with the concrete broken, water's running down and making the dirt soft and sinking it more. It's not going to be too long before the spot.
I talked to Cameron, British Street guy.
If there's something they can,
They should come in and cut out a square and dig
Cut
it
out
out
a
and
square.
put it back nice.
yeah, I know they would appreciate that.
I also forgot the lights that got cut out whenever they're doing this digging over here for the South Shore hangers, those 2 pole lights. We were wondering if we get a hold of maybe Northwest Electric and have solar lights put up on top of on those poles so they have light at night. Does that sound feasible?
Are they not going to connect the lights back?
No. No, the electrical lights, the wiring for some reason looped out this way and then went around. And so when they were doing this work here, we had to get it to where we had to have them come out, cut the electric to that so we could move forward with the concrete pad and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure that solar is going to provide the light for what they would want in front of their hangar, but
It would just be so they can see their keys and stuff at night.
yeah. And also, we're supposed to have pilot control lighting on the runway. Is that ever going to be reactivated?
No, the consensus was with the LED lights, they don't burn enough electricity that like most airports leave them on at night in case somebody's radio is not working, they can't key the lights. So they're on all the time.
Okay.
It's just,
So is it like the energy used is insignificant compared to the safety factor?
yeah, because you get somebody flying in at night and they can't key the mic, or can't key the lights, then
Okay. Well, I know when it was put in, that was a big deal to have pilot control lighting.
now,
And we were one of the only airports that we had never had pilot control lighting, and all of a sudden we got it, and everybody was excited
well,
about it.
they're on low, and you can key them to medium and high.
They are now.
Yeah, they're on low, they're on low now.
So they're on low all the time.
It's
So
on
they're
the,
not, they never go completely out.
right,
Okay, so we still have pilot control lighting.
yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do
it's
that.
pilot
Okay.
controlled, yeah. It goes on the photo cells like so in the beacon, you know.
Right, okay,
So during the day they're off, and you can key them on during the day.
okay.
So they are pilot
So
controlled, I guess, yeah.
the system is working the way it's
Yeah.
supposed to.
Yeah,
It's not that it was burnt out or something.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I was understanding that the system was burnt out and it wasn't working and it was wired around, so it,
Right.
but,
Now, there was concern with the rabbit lights, the odos, being on at night all the time because, well, that's just annoying for everybody that lives in the woods.
Okay.
And they were supposed, so right now they're, of course, they don't work now anyway, so that, I guess we'll come to that whenever they decide to get them fixed.
yeah, coming to winter and bad weather, those are kind of important too.
You know, I mean, that, technically, we were supposed to have them because it's part of our instrument landing.
If you've been watching, I've been kind of following it. GAMI has now started fuel sales for their unleaded 100, unleaded in California. And I think Swift has started as well with their 100R. So unleaded fuel is something that is now, something on the horizon. Commercial availability in California. It'll only be a matter of time before they probably are able to ramp up. Now, I think they're both saying that it's way more expensive than 100 low lead. And that's a problem for most of our guys here in this area of the world. Is they don't fly with aircraft that, a lot of them don't really need the 100 low lead, let alone the 100 unleaded. And for something like with our capital improvement program, 2030 is coming up pretty quick, but it makes me start thinking, it might not be a bad idea if we have, we're probably going to have to support whatever fuel wins out that's unleaded 100. But 20% of the aircraft that are out there are going to need that. The other 80% aren't, and it's going to be a huge cost now. Financially, aviation just keeps getting more expensive. So it's something we might want to think about having. Maybe a third fuel, I don't know. The tank underground here that's supporting the 100 low lead right now, I don't know if we're going to have to at some point dig that up. The EPA is going to make us do that or not, but it might be something for us to start thinking about having conversations. Because, I don't know, I think it's kind of unfair for us to keep pushing more and more expense, fuel expense, coming up with even more expensive fuel that a lot of guys didn't need in the first place. Your average Piper Cub, Champ, your Tailorcrafts, a lot of your Cessna 172s that are running the lower compression motors. Hell, I think the 0470 and your 182s doesn't need 100 low lead. It can run on.
Yeah, it's older than a 76 model.
Yeah, so there's a lot of aircraft out there that are just getting slammed with fuel cost consideration that they really don't need that fuel. So I don't know, for us, maybe we might want to just keep that in mind. Maybe I know having 3 fuels is not optimal because it's more work and more stuff. But it's a discussion point.
We will definitely one of these days have to dig up the underground 100 low lead tank.
At some point.
It's been in there quite a number of years. Anyway,
That's all I got.
any remarks from the citizens? Nope. The next item is adjourned.